They say love conquers all, and Tucker Carlson and Francesca Albanese's love for hating the Jews definitely conquers all in their case. As we've seen, as we've said over the past 2 years, left and right have overcome their supposed differences, which really weren't there. But they kind of pretended they had some little differences on taxation and stuff that isn't really important, at least not in the sense of the differences between them. But they've overcome it. They've overcome it in America, I think more so than elsewhere, but in other countries as well, because they've united against the thing that they see as the biggest enemy of whatever they want the world to look like, the Jews. So, yeah, Tucker Carlson interviewed UN expert and all whatever other titles she has, Francesca Albanese, to talk some shit about Israel. We're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about that just about that today. So the Daily Objective will go extra long. We're not going to have a reality show. Daniel and I are going to, start our weekend with, two people we usually wouldn't want to spend the weekend with, but we watch it so you don't have to, although you do have to because it's going to be on. Welcome to the Daily Objective. I'm Razi Ginsburg, joined by Daniel Kraus to ease our evening. Jonathan Honing is already in with a super chat. Thank you, Jonathan. Jonathan says, wouldn't a new textbook of Americanism make a great holiday gift? Absolutely. I will hold it up soon when I get it, when we start watching the clip. But yes, that would make certainly a much better gift than video of this conversation between Tucker and Francesca. By the way, this is a long clip. We're gonna watch some of Tucker's intro, and then we're gonna go to the interview. But before we do, Daniel, any initial thoughts?
Well, one that Amazon does same day shipping in America. So even if you're last minute looking for Christmas gifts, a new textbook of Americanism is great, as well as many other books that we advertise it as well. And separately, when I
Wait,
was
on that topic, yeah, it also looks really nice, and it also looks really nice for Hebrew speakers in Hebrew. It is translated. I don't know which other languages it's translated into, but uh, these two, and you can read it in both languages if you can. All right, Daniel.
separately, when it came to this Tucker video, and I listened to almost the whole thing. Although, of course, I had to play a game while doing that because I otherwise wouldn't be able to pair it. When I opened it, funnily enough, subtitles automatically turned on. They were in Russian, so much about. I don't know if this is a joke from YouTube or why is it automatically putting on Russian subtitles on Takar's video. But yeah, this is it was just a funny thing that happened. And yeah, when it comes to this whole thing, I mean, when I saw it for the first time, I mean, I showed it to Razi yesterday while we were still in office, and yeah, we were like, yeah, that has to be a video. And almost we didn't need a title because the idea that, I mean, anybody on the right would meet with some self-described expert from the UN came in to talk about their expertise, not to mention somebody from the left, from the socialist left. I mean, some of what Francesca says is pure, like she blames the so-called genocide by Israelis on corporations. And, Takar is, of course, happy to agree because, no fan of capitalism or corporations either. So, yeah, it really shows that these people have been united for a long time. And when you take the more consistent advocates of either side, they fall in love with each other.
Yeah, it's weird. The American left is kind of openly anti-American. The American right still pretends they're pro-America. They have slogans like "Make America Great Again," "America First," all that crap. but really Tucker is very much anti-American, and we're gonna go through like the first 9 minutes or so because it really is so amazing to hear and to hear people who would actually wave the American flag like this guy. Because if you are on Tucker's side, you are on the side that is against America. Yeah, if anybody likes Tucker that you know and you think they're honestly mistaken, get them a new textbook of Americanism. Tucker himself, I don't think that's going to help. Thank you, Gail, for the super chat. Thank you, Bonnie, for the super chat. Thank you, Apollo Zeus, for the super chat. Yeah, as I mentioned, or didn't mention, but all super chat proceeds today go towards therapy for Daniel and I after we and me after we watch this. That's a joke. That's not actually the case. So feel free to super chat. All right, Daniel, should we filibuster some more, or do we have to watch this?
Yeah, we can watch this.
All right.
America has one great ally in the world, its chief ally. By some calculations, maybe its only real ally, and that's the state of Israel. And that has been the case for a long time. In fact, so long that few people question whether that's a good idea or why exactly that is. Everyone knows our closest ally is Israel, and we have all kinds of military and economic ties to Israel. But the main way you know Israel is our closest ally is that really up until just the other day, there was not a scenario you could conjure in your head in which the United States would take the side of any other country over Israel. It just couldn't happen. So Israel's our chief ally. Hasn't always been this way. Of course, Israel didn't exist.
Okay, should we just pause? And I know we talked about this, but it's worth repeating because Tucker was repeating this absolute bullshit that Trump siding with Qatar over Israel is the first instance of a president siding with an Arab dictatorship over Israel. No, it's not the first instance of Trump in this term siding with Israel's enemies against Israel. And you can't find an American president who hasn't done this. It is true that America doesn't do this as much and as, enthusiastically as some European countries. Absolutely. Even Biden, we talked about this when I tell people go back to the shows we did right after October 7th and see how pretty much everything we predicted unfortunately happened. The one exception I make is I actually bought into Biden's very, very strong words of support for Israel, even though historically I know America sides with Israel when Israelis are slaughtered and then pulls back when Israel starts fighting back. So yeah, there's a long, long list, and people have tweeted it. I'm not gonna go through all of it, but if people need examples, let me know.
Yeah, I mean, again, Tucker is speaking to a certain audience. I mean, even saying Israel is America's only ally, does he know there's like NATO and has been there since the founding of Israel, actually slightly before the founding of Israel, and have both defended like I don't know if people know that the only time Article 5 of NATO was ever invoked was by the United States after 9/11. It was the only time Article 5 was ever invoked. So the only time when NATO actually did its obligation to defend somebody was when America was attacked. And every nation contributed in some way towards the helping of America, either through the specific invasions, which some of them unfortunately weren't going to the right places, but still that happened. And secondly, this idea that you judge Israel based on, or you judge the American relationship with Israel based on like it always sided or it didn't side. I mean, did America do the right thing or not? And if doing the right thing, which I think it almost always is, if doing the right thing is siding with Israel, now again, specifically you have to define what siding with Israel even means. But if that's the right thing, why shouldn't America do it always? America always try to protect the individual rights. Maybe it should compromise a little bit and sometimes not protect individual rights. Like what kind of I analyzing of politics this is, that it sides with specific country. No, it should do the right thing. And when it comes to American involvement in the West, in the Middle East, Israel is always the only side you can side with. There is nobody else.
Yeah, Apollo Zeus asked in the chat, what about the US-UK special relationship? Well, you see the problem with what you're saying here, Apollo Zeus. Like you're talking about something that is exists in reality. Tucker Carlson, that's not what he does. You know, if you are talking about reality, you are probably somehow paid for by the Zionists. I mean, yeah, the U.S. has other allies. Bonnie, I agree with you that Trump is terrible to America's allies, but no, they're still allies. You know, America does have allies. Alliances is not, necessarily being on the same page on everything. By the way, America has allies that it should have and has allies that it shouldn't have. And when we hear more from Tucker, we'll hear what his view on this is and where America would go if Tucker were in charge, if he became president, which might someday happen. All right.
So it's all pretty new, and it's accelerated with every decade. We become closer and closer to Israel. Our commitment, not our legal commitment or publicly discussed commitment, but our in effect commitment, our on the ground commitment to Israel has become stronger every year. But there's no reason that should stay the way it is forever. What if we decided to change it up? What if we decided to get a new closest ally in the world? How about Qatar? What if Qatar was our closest ally? Float that one at the next dinner party you go to. People will respond strongly, especially if they're Fox News viewers. What? Are you an Islamist? Qatar? The bloodthirsty Islamo-fascist.
Can we, oh my God. First of all, there's a thing Tucker does in with his tone of voice. And look, you know, he's good at it, but it's like, you know, you don't have to argue about why this is not a problem of aligning yourself with Islamists. If you say Islamist, I mean, no, Tucker, that's you are advocating for Islamism. It's very weird that, you know, Fox News is where he goes like with this because Fox News kind of repeats the Trump line wherever Trump is, which is at the moment at least very much pro Qatar.
Yeah, and the way he talks about it, Israel has been America's ally for a long time. Let's change it up. What is this, a friendly match of football? Let's swap up the teams. Let's try something different. Like, no, this is what is in America's interest. Like, unless you mean change it up in, let's analyze the relationship with Turkey because they moved far away in the last few decades from what we would consider at least somewhat working Western democracy. Or let's analyze, something else, which I have a feeling that the Takar would never have agreed to an Israeli relationship. It's not like, yeah, it was a good thing from the 50s to 70s, but maybe since then we should have changed it up. No, he he doesn't believe there should be any relationship. And yeah, then he goes, maybe Qatar should be our ally. Qatar is America's ally. There's already things in place. Qatar is a major non-NATO US ally. That is, again, stuff passed through Congress. That is something that is already on the books, that is already happening. It shouldn't be, it's a problem. But again, acting as if, let's shift our attention. America has already shifted attention. Saudi Arabia is an American ally. Qatar, Kuwait, Oman, all those are America's allies. The idea that until now, America has been only the ally of like the most Western nations ever is ridiculous. America has for a long time. Even I mean, since the Soviet Union could be the first example. Even before World War II, the American involvement with the Soviet Union has been destructive towards the West. So even the idea of America aligning itself with, let's say, non-Western countries with the dictatorship isn't a new thing.
Yeah, I have to tell our viewers, Daniel and I, before the show, sometimes we have a topic and the title just comes with the topic immediately. We don't even have to think about it. Today was a different story. You may have noticed we didn't schedule the episode until basically we went live. We struggled with it, but now I'm thinking, what if Qatar was our ally? Sounds like the kind of thing that I would put on a title to piss people off preemptively so that they watch the show. But yeah, when Tucker says it, it is an actual thing that he's suggesting. Let's hear He's with the should Qatar be our closest ally? He's not just making, changes in his voice pitch and stuff. He is actually making arguments. Let's hear those arguments.
This state, what are you getting paid by the Qatar lobby? AQUAC? Of course, there is no actual AQUAC, but if there was a Qatar lobby, it should be called AQUAC. And then you would be forced to explain why Qatar should be our closest ally. And of course, people would look at you like you were insane, in fact, dangerous and probably anti-American. But let's just take Qatar out of it for a second. How do you think about, if you're the United States, who ought to be your closest ally? Who gets that job? Who do you take to the prom? And it depends on how you think about it. If you think about it through the lens of American interest, which is to say what's good for us, then it's a very different picture. What's good for us? Well, you would want a country that had, I don't know, natural resources that you might want to have access to. Energy, probably first and foremost, but maybe not. Minerals too. But certainly energy, oil and gas, because we need them, despite what they may tell you, to continue our civilization and to be strong and prosperous. So a big energy supply would be important. A powerful military might also help. And to have a powerful military, of course, you need a big population to man the military, as Ukraine, unfortunately, is finding out now. It helps to have a lot of people. So there are a couple of different countries you might throw out there if you were looking purely through the lens of what's good for the United States, an America first perspective. The most obvious, of course, would be Russia. Russia! Why? Because it's the biggest country in the world. It's the biggest landmass in the world, and it has enormous mineral deposits, energy deposits. It's got a lot of oil and gas and gold and everything else you need to run a society. And it also has a formidable military, by far the biggest on that continent, on the European continent, and huge manufacturing capacity. So, like, if you needed an ally to help you in a conflict, or if you needed a country in which to stage a fight with some other country, a place to put air bases, for example, Russia would be like the best, of course.
All right. Yeah, I like AQUAC. Like when I see Tucker, AQUAC is what comes to mind. So thanks, Tucker, for that. We will use it. Yeah, I have to say the natural resources issue is a ruse. It's. I think he's trying to make you think that he doesn't care about values at all. He does. First of all, only caring about stuff is a type of value. It's misguided at best, but that is what you choose as that's your priority. But look at the two countries he's mentioned so far and look at what type of countries they are, how they treat their own citizens, and what their relation to their neighbors and the rest of the world is. These are countries that oppress their people, attack or support attacks on other countries. These are countries that intentionally make human life worse. That's what their leaders do. And he doesn't end there. Like, these are not his only suggestions. These are his main suggestions, but which gives you enough, I think, to know where he stands. But we'll hear more soon and see where he is going with this.
Yeah. So first, the way he goes, AQUAC. It's not like there is a lobby named AQUAC in America, which shouldn't confuse you from thinking that there is no Qatari lobby in America. There is a Qatari lobby in America. There's a very powerful Qatari lobby in America. There are many registered foreign agents of Qatar actively in America. You can even look up with the State Department of like actually designated people who are taking Qatari money, because you have to in America confess that if you are, otherwise it's a crime. So there are Qatar absolutely has a lobby. I mean, how else would Qatar be able to get a flight base inside of America? How else would Qatar have a base, American military base inside of Qatar? Absolutely, it has not to mention all the funding of the universities by Qatar and so on and so on. You can go forever. So again, he has like this weird idea of that Qatar is this like new nation that was like founded yesterday, and we are thinking about if not or if to have a relationship with them. No, they have been there the whole time. They have been funding Hamas. They have been sheltering terrorists. Again, Qatar was in the same country as Hamas terrorists, as leaders of Hamas that are currently being sheltered in Qatar. And when he started saying, "Let's look at it from I don't know, I can't remember what exactly the words he used, like self-interested America, or just purely from America first perspective." And I'm like, okay, that might be interesting. Let's look at it. And of course, I got reminded that this guy is a Christian, so for him, selfish or self-interested way of America is of course purely materialistic, because he sees no reason for ideas outside of religion. So it's natural resources, it's whatever, which again, America has all the natural resources. Even when we talk about them, America has easy access to Canada, to all of EU. Unfortunately, it should be easier. EU is not making that nice. And of course, Ukraine. Ukraine is an amazing future partner, even from the aspects of the natural resources. But even that is ignoring sort of two facts. One is the ideological fact of what kind of ally, what kind of projection, what kind of values should America project to the world? And do we really want America, or any decent country for that matter, project that basically will make a deal with any dictator, will do, Russia, that has been arresting American citizens that come into Russia, has been killing people in Britain, of course, slaughtering people in Ukraine. Is that the kind of thing that, oh yeah, that's fine. That's what we are like comfortable with aligning ourselves with. And the separate thing is the sort of non-material value countries can provide. And we could use the example of Israel. The fact that Israel, when it comes to the military, is able to provide the intelligence, provide the both intelligence in the region and sort of basically experience with the equipment they use. I mean, that is valuable stuff. Even Ukraine itself, Ukraine specifically, when it comes to NATO, they've set up a school inside of Ukraine to basically teach the modern warfare to anybody from the West who is interested. So there's an immense value, non-materialistic value these countries can provide. But of course, the car, from his religious point of view, he only sees the material, and he doesn't seem to have any interest, or I mean, doesn't care about, is it and even, I'm not sure if he said it already, or he might say it in a bit, because he mentions like, oh, these countries have different systems. These are monarchies. That's not the clarifying thing. United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, and you could go on and on. All of those are monarchies. That's not the defining issue of like why you should ally or not ally yourselves with. The problem is the dictatorship part, not the who is the titular state of the head of this particular country.
Another point about natural resources that is important to always remember in the context of, Arab countries having natural resources. They don't have natural resources in the sense that they don't own that stuff, at least not morally. They have no right to it, because it is an achievement of the human mind. Humans actually found that, and it was not the humans who lived there. It was Westerners. So, yeah, if we want Qatari oil, we can take it back. That's perfectly legitimate. And in Qatar's case, there is actually a national security reason to, for America to change that regime, rather than to say, oh, look, they're giving us so much money. They're giving us our money. Like, they're giving us the money they stole from the West. Anyway, oh, wait. Bonnie said in the chat, this man is not normal. Bonnie, I know you're familiar with the famous Ayn Rand quote, the uncontested absurdities of today are the accepted slogans of tomorrow. This guy is again, I keep saying this. These people are way, way, way more mainstream. I mean, they are mainstream. We are the fringes. Like, reason is not a part of the conversation, not within the Overton window. And yeah, there's, I love what Michael Leibowitz, who will be speaking at the Irreplaceable Spark Conference next year, and Mark Pellegrino are doing with the American Capitalist Party. Unfortunately, there's a much better chance of Tucker being president than Mark or Michael anytime soon. And yeah, with that, let's listen to more of what the hopefully not future president has to say.
Russia because Russia's bad. They're immoral. They're bad. You might also say, well, Venezuela. Why Venezuela? Well, because they have the largest proven oil reserves in the world. They're in our hemisphere. I don't know. Lots of natural resources. It's right there. Why not make them a big ally? Talk about a place for military bases and trade, and that might help us. They've got a lot that we might benefit from if we wanted to help our country. You can't. They're bad. They're so bad we're going to invade them. They're so immoral we have to go to war with them. We cannot be allies with them. We have to fight them. That's how immoral they are. Okay. Well, at a certain point, you get to places like, I don't know, Equatorial Guinea. Probably not a beacon of democracy. Small country, tons of energy, though. And then the more obvious ones like Saudi Arabia or UAE or Bahrain, Oman, Kuwait, the rest of the Gulf states. Like, those might all be good. And we don't have their same form of government. Those are all monarchies, 6 monarchies clustered next to each other, but all of them have a ton of energy. And they're all pretty pro-American, and they're in an important part of the world. So it's not a matter of being a Qatari nationalist or trying to promote Qatar. As you think about who should be an ally of your nation, you think about your nation. What's good for us? How do we serve our people, our citizens, the people who voted for us, who pay for all of this? Like, what's in their interest? And Qatar just seems like an obvious one, but it doesn't have to be the only one. And the only reason we're choosing it tonight is because there's so much falseness about Qatar. If you watch Fox News, you know Qatar is evil and they're secretly running the United States. They probably don't tell you that their owner was just in Qatar trying to raise money, which is not an attack on their owner. It's merely an acknowledgement of what everyone who doesn't watch Fox News all day knows, which is Qatar is part of the world. And lots of people go there. We were there 2 days ago. So was Hillary Clinton. So was Bill Gates, looking kind of cadaverous. And it's not because we love Hillary Clinton or Bill Gates we were there. It's because, like, everyone's there. And if you want to interview people, you should probably go to Qatar because everyone's there. And why is everyone there? Because it's a pretty open society, because they have a lot of stuff going on, and they've got a lot of resources, and they welcome people to talk about things in their country. That's not bad. Those are not bad things. Why are we being told Qatar is so bad? Well, of course, for the same reason we hear a lot of countries are bad, because if we have other strong allies, that might affect the interest of our only ally, which would be Israel. And so just for fun, just like a little exercise, not in Islamism, this is not an endorsement of Islamic terror, it's kind of interesting to go through the criteria, the facts about these countries, compare Israel to, say, Qatar, and you decide for yourself what you think might be a more useful ally for the United States to have, maybe even a chief ally. And these are all facts as far as we know. Of course, feel free to look them up. Check our facts against Wikipedia or whatever, Grokpedia. Go there, by the way. You should go to Qatar. Wander around for a day or two. You can fly in the world's greatest airline, by the way, as you get there, which is Starlink the entire way. There's a lot of good stuff about Qatar. Good food, nice people. But just go there. Don't take our word for it. If you're being told that, Qatar is this hellscape with slave markets and, women in burqas or whatever, spend a weekend. See for yourself. You're not encouraged to do that. You're never encouraged to see anything for yourself. Don't do your own research. Trust the science. Trust our view. Trust the 2-minute clip we put on Twitter. And if you don't agree with that, then you're obviously Islamist, Nazi, racist, whatever. We're going to attack your character. But for once, see for yourself. So here are some of the differences between Qatar and Israel. Again, this is not an attack on Israel, for sure. And it's not promoting Qatar. It's just trying our best to promote our country, which could use allies right about now. So the first is resources. And Israel has basically no resources.
All right, let's pause here. Oh my God, that's painful. I think we I just read that in the World Cup next year, They're gonna have, other than the halftime break, they're gonna have breaks like in the middle of each half, the 3 minute break for water. We might need that here as well. Yeah, Israel has no natural resources. Uh, let's, you know what? It's not correct, but okay, it has fewer natural resources than these other places. Now let's look at Israel today and how successful it is. And how successful it is, not just despite its supposed lack of natural resources, but the fact that it is surrounded by bloodthirsty savages who want nothing out of life except to kill all the Jews. And yet, Israel is as successful as it is. If you look at the BDS movement, the boycott, divestment, sanctions movement, and if you try to actually think what, you know, for fun, as Tucker would say, try to think what it would look like to actually boycott anything that has come out of Israel in any way, you will not be able to live a modern life today in the world. You can't use any, you know, cell phone, any type of device. You basically you can't eat cherry tomatoes, as I like to point out, but maybe you can live without. I think Daniel can live without cherry tomatoes. You really can't live without that. So, you know, the people who actually do what Tucker encourages people to do, which is check the fact, but maybe also think for yourself, and maybe not check against Wikipedia, but check the actual facts. Uh, you will come to the conclusion that the greatest resource is the human mind. And that is why Israel is as successful as it is. That is why, in a sense, the Arab countries have all that wealth because of the human mind, not, again, not of their people, but of the people who use their mind, came from the West, discovered that there is something of value in that desert, and utilized it.
Yeah, and again, like look at the way he's covering it, right? And I mean, this goes to the sort of evil compromise of the West. Specifically, let's say the airlines, the Qatar Airlines. He's like, look how great Qatar Airlines is. You mean the Qatar Airlines that the Airbuses are from European French companies, and the Starlink he mentioned is from American company, and the other planes they use is Boeing from, again, American company, and the oil that I have the money from is again from European companies that came in, settled, developed the technology. So okay, Qatar was able to steal the European technology, use that money to buy European planes, get the American internet, and put it in one thing. Amazing! What a innovation! No, like the actual innovation is always in the West. It's all like, show me one like innovation that is coming out of Qatar, or any type of intellectual property. As you have mentioned, Israel is one of the, Tel Aviv specifically, is the biggest hub for innovation. This is what's happening. And again, it's not because Israel is some unique special place. It's the one place in the Middle East that actually allows a certain amount of freedom of thought, respect for property rights, respect for intellectual property rights, which is oftentimes even more important. Qatar doesn't have any of that. You know, talking about open society, yeah, it's like if you agree with them, you can say whatever you want. We know that, of course, that that is always like that. You know, he joked about, you know, women in burqas, or whatever other examples he used, and he's like mocking it, and it's like, so are you saying it's not happening? Or even, you know, call it's evil dictatorship, or that these countries are immoral and sort of mocking. So are you saying that these countries are not immoral? What are you exactly mocking? Are you mocking the idea that some countries can be evil, or even that some countries can be more evil than others, even if you you know, don't like something America or United Kingdom or whichever country has done? Can we agree that there might be countries that are more immoral, that there might be systems that are more immoral, uh, uh, less fit for human flourishing? Although, of course, Takar had a guy on his show where they talked about how Sharia law is basically just like the English common law. So, what is really the difference? Might as well go and buy property in Qatar.
Yeah, whenever I look at you know, some forums about travel and stuff, people always praise Qatar's airline, you know, for their more comfortable seating, better food, better service, better lounges, and I read that and I'm thinking this is such moronic short-term thinking. I'm going to be slightly more comfortable for a few hours on this plane because, maybe they just, I don't know how they work, but I've never been interested that much in it, but they can make a loss. They can make a loss on their airline, and get Western people to think, hang on, do I want to go to war with a country that has such a comfortable seat in business class? Maybe not. And yeah, that kind of thinking does not end well, people. Thank you, Apollo Zeus, for the super chat. Apollo Zeus says the Six Eyes: Australia, Canada, New Zealand, the United Kingdom, the United States, and Israel. Uh, yeah, what is that? All the countries that Tucker hates, or I think there's more probably in that list. Thank you, Roland, for the super chat. Roland says, "Here's some money for you guys to buy some resources." Thank you. We will not spend that on Tucker Carlson's mind, I promise you, but unfortunately, we will hear some more of what comes out of it now.
Well, there was something else I wanted to throw. Again, just imagine how like anti-American this also is. Imagine having somebody in 1780s talking about, coming from some British royal dinner and saying, "Oh, look what food they are eating. The monarchs can enjoy whatever the food they want." It's like, okay, yeah, because here we actually have to like work for our living and not like steal it from other people. So again, this is so disturbing. It's so, I mean, anti-American fundamentally. Yeah, it's the same kind of thing. It's like I'm walking for today and yesterday. I'm like walking through London, and yeah, I dislike how untidy the streets are. But when I compared it to the car going into Moscow and saying, "Oh, how great the metro is!" Yeah, because it's like it's a monument to death because it's not used. Nobody uses it. It's just like I mean, he should go to what is it? Turkmenistan. He should go to the capital of Turkmenistan. It's a marble city because nobody lives there, but it's a beautiful city. Go to North Korea. Go to Pyongyang. I'm sure it has a great statues and great monuments because it's not about the actual life. People don't actually live. People don't actually, produce in those cities. It is a monument to death. That's why it's so clean.
We have that pool over whether Trump is going to stay for a third term. Uh, Maybe we should have one about Tucker going to Pyongyang because I would absolutely put money that that is coming. I don't know about Turkmenistan because I don't think it's sort of famously evil enough for Tucker to go there just at the moment. But yeah, I expect the day when Pyongyang is on the list, and he goes there. I don't know if he can interview the leader, but he can definitely look at stores and say, "Oh, look how cheap this is, and look how clean it is, and look how well behaved everybody is." They salute the statue or whatever they have to do, And yeah, actually, Trump said this in his first term, right? That Kim Jong-un, his people respect him. Yeah, because if you don't respect him, you go to a labor camp and you work to death there.
Yeah, it might be like the act, like the real version of the interview. It's the movie with I'm not sure if you've seen that movie. It's Seth Rogen and what is this guy name? I cannot remember. But it's basically about the guy who like goes to North Korea to do interview with Kim Jong-un, and yeah, he goes how nice everything is, and then he realizes it's all like the apples are like concrete or something, just that from you. I haven't seen the movie, but I imagine if the car did it, he would see the apple of like, and then he would put it back, and he wouldn't mention that on the show because that kind of goes against what he wants. It kind of looked like you have a cigarette in your hand because like the thing.
Yeah, this is a cigarette, but the kind of cigarette they have in North Korea when tourists come in and want to see what the locals smoke. All right, more Tucker.
Its gasoline comes from Azerbaijan. I mean, it needs to import basically everything that it uses. Not everything. They've got a thriving tech sector, but for natural resources, they are very, very limited, and that would include water. Qatar has, well, some of the largest natural gas reserves in the world in their famous North Gas Field. And they are the, I think, #1 LNG exporter to Europe, and one of the biggest certainly to Asia. Liquefied natural gas, it's what a lot of the world runs on. It's also where a lot of consumer products come from because it's converted to plastics, polyethylene, and many other things. So like having a lot of natural gas is not just something that makes you rich, it's something that is really good for your country, your economy, and it can help your friends. So that's the first thing to know. Qatar has a ton of natural resources. Israel has no natural resources. Okay. The second thing to know is that Qatar is a very enthusiastic investor in the United States. So that's being spun as a bad thing. They're trying to take over our society. Now, if you've been in the U.S. recently and wandered around and noticed it becoming markedly more Qatari, send us an email and tell us where you went, because we haven't noticed that, actually.
Okay. First of all, if you haven't noticed how America is becoming more Qatari, Tucker, watch your own fucking show. And yeah, we're back to the natural resource thing and the money thing. Is this how Tucker lives his life? Like, is this how he chooses his friends? Based on what completely disregarding values. This is an important thing. He does not mention that. He mentions it later on. He does not mention values up until this point, but he mentions natural resources and so many times. And then he mentions all the money that Qatar is pouring into the U.S. Yes, Qatar has been pouring money into the U.S., has been buying influence, and has been benefiting from that. And the biggest benefit that we know of, that we saw, was the fact that since October 7th, they've been harboring the people behind the massacre, and nothing has been done. And when Israel finally did something about it, America sided with Qatar and essentially Hamas.
Yeah, and here again, you can see the stupidity of what he's saying. He's like, Israel doesn't have any natural resources; it's importing everything, and they only do technology stuff. That is a sign of a modern economy. Modern economy is about moving from resource extraction. Imagine having economy based around resource extraction. That's like an African backward country, like focus on resource extraction, or even manufacturing. That is a sign of like a developing economy. Having your economy around service-based industry, having your economy around technology-based industry is a sign of a modern economy. This is like like econ 101 of like how a country goes from basically feudal level or pre-industrial level and then becomes industrialized. Like he uses the fact that Israel is importing stuff as like a negative thing, while that's the positive part. You don't want your economy to be based, one, to rely on, you don't want to be just screwed over if you are unlucky and you don't have a certain amount, like certain resource in your country, and then and again those things clash from each other. So why should America ally itself with people who have natural resources? I mean, here's he saying it shouldn't import anything, right? It should, I don't know what he's saying it should do, but here with Israel, he seems to have a problem with importing, stuff from Azerbaijan or from somewhere else.
Yeah. By the way, Daniel, I don't know where it is now in the chat, but I think Chandler mentioned you did watch that movie together. Clementine, welcome back. Clementine in the chat says, Tucker doesn't care about human rights. He mocks what women go through in Muslim countries under Sharia law. He's evil. Absolutely. And wait till you hear his comparison to Israel with, Qatar on, not on the issue of women, but you'll hear it. Yeah.
So Chandler said we are watching this movie ASAP.
Oh.
Not that we've watched it. So you're
Okay.
putting me as somebody who doesn't remember watching movies with my friends.
My bad. Let's hear from somebody even worse than my bad, Tucker.
A socially conservative society, in contrast to, say, Tel Aviv, which has got to be the world capital for drag queen story hours. Qatar is the opposite of that.
All right. Yes. I don't actually know what the world capital of drag queen story hours is, but I'm sure if there's a list, Tel Aviv is way, way, way higher than Qatar. Qatar has the death penalty for homosexuality. So in Tel Aviv, a man can dress as a woman if he wants to do so. In Qatar, a grown adult and another grown adult consenting with each other if they are of the same sex in the privacy of their own homes can, at least on paper, get executed for doing that. This is what Tucker thinks is better than the Western values that Israel represents. And remember, this is also Palestinianism through and through. This is why Qatar supports the Palestinians. This is why it harbors their leaders, because this is the side that they are on. And if you are on the side of the Palestinians, you are not just on the side of the mass murder of Jews, you're on the side of the subjugation of women, and you're on the side of killing people for being gay. That's your side.
Yeah, and here again, I'm not gonna come here and act as like the defender of social conservative values, but is this what social conservatism means? Like executing gays and completely limiting the freedom of women? I feel like social conservatism is like a strong family values, like supporting first-time families or supporting first-time buyers, or having maybe even something like long maternity leave or something like that. I thought that's what socially conservative values mean, like sort of like supporting the family values. Again, something that actually Israel is doing, but no, the car doesn't even mention that. The fact that Israel itself is very social conservative in many ways. No, it's specific, and he uses that in such a weird way, because one time when he talked about Venezuela, he's like, "Oh, we shouldn't attack Venezuela because Maduro is social conservative." Like, what do you even mean? We're saying like a socialist, like social conservative. Like, what do words mean? Should be like the new title.
All right. More Tucker?
I'd rather not, but I'm doing a show on this.
Covered and can drive and go out without an escort and all that stuff you hear about taking place in the Gulf doesn't actually take place in the Gulf anymore, but it definitely doesn't take place in Qatar, which by regional standards is very liberal, but by American, Western standards is actually pretty traditional. So they don't have a lot of pride parades in Qatar. Let's see, none. Qatari diplomats, ask anybody when they're posted to the West, US, Canada, Great Britain, they send their kids to Christian schools not because they're Christian, they're Muslims, but because they're more socially conservative. They don't have government-subsidized abortion on demand in Qatar, as Israel does. They basically have, in a lot of ways, the same social values, broadly speaking, of course. They're not Christian, they're Muslim. But broadly speaking, very similar social values to a lot of Trump voters. There's a big emphasis on marriage and spending time with your family. I'm not trying to talk it up too much. It's different. It's not my culture. But I guess the point is, if Qatar was really in charge of our culture, it wouldn't look like this at all. Right. Well, this country's 250th birthday is right around the corner.
Yeah, we don't need to promote his sponsors on this show, but holy shit, this guy. Yeah, abortion on demand, by the way, is code for, women can legally get an abortion if they are pregnant and would rather not have, their whole life overturned because it wasn't their intention to get pregnant. But yeah, really, he's not watering down what Qatar actually is to sell it to us. He's actually saying what it truly is, and thinking, and look, he knows his audience, thinking this is going to encourage people to think our greatest ally in the world, this is what he advocates for, should be Qatar.
Yeah, I mean, again, with a lot of stuff, he's just assuming people don't look up specifically this. I mean, okay, what does he say? Like, no pride parades. Okay, well, again, like, what specifically he means with pride parades? That's then, like, he doesn't care about freedom, right? Specifically, I don't think there should be like public property, so I don't think there should be like permits for doing something. But if there is public property, I think everybody who gets a permit, that should be fairly easy to get, should be pretty much allowed to do. And, same for the neo-Nazis or whatever crazy people, as long as it's not violating somebody else's rights. When it comes to, again, no subsidies for abortion, unlike Israel does. I mean, now here I'm wondering, like, what is even like criticizing for? So Israel doesn't have like a like the NHS type, doesn't have nationalized health. It has the public insurance scheme that a lot of countries do. Slovakia does as well, meaning you pay your insurance and then some things are covered by your insurance. And here again, what is he specifically criticizing? Because I'm now gonna go on a limb and I'm gonna assume Qatar has also some kind of nationalized healthcare, either the public option or completely nationalized. So he's specifically criticizing that abortion isn't legal. Like that is what he's actually criticizing. Because yeah, if healthcare is gonna be covered by the state to some extent, then yeah, it's gonna cover all procedures. So this just like he's specifically criticizing. Like what does subsidized even mean when it comes to like public healthcare? Like is yeah, I cannot even like understand what he exactly means. He is specifically criticizing the fact that again Israel has freedom for women to actually get an abortion. And then he says spending time with family, which yeah, I have to say Qatar very much, the Al-Thani family especially very much likes to spend time with each other. That's why they put themselves in the prime ministerial positions, as well as the monarchy position, as well as the position of every single big company, as well as the position of every single big agency. They really like their family.
A pro-Palestinian in the chat says, lie, mostly Jews homosexual. Couldn't have said it better myself. Let's watch some more. Actually, should we just jump ahead to, do we have some more of this clip? I don't know. Yeah, okay, let's watch a little bit more and then go to Francesca. But make sure you skip that sponsor. I don't want to promote them if they're sponsoring Tucker.
Yeah, I think we'll still catch a little bit at the end, but should be sure.
It's everywhere because it's awesome. Black Rifle Coffee, veteran founded, American roasted. This is America's coffee. So, but they're investing in a lot of businesses. Qatar's pledged.
Sounds like Qatar's coffee, but anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to play that. People shouldn't buy that. If that company is willing to like support the car.
I mean, look, when we did a show about what was it, anti-Zionist political action committee, the comments, I mean, that was unique. But yeah, we got hundreds and hundreds of comments of people saying that they donated to that. Maybe one or two of them did. I kind of tend to think these people are full of shit all the time, but yeah, all right. Didn't mean to interrupt that.
Yeah, but also some people might boycott it because of this, or do the opposite. But yeah, this could work either way. But let's watch the car.
Right. I think they put about 150 billion in so far. We'll see if they make good on the other 350 billion, but 150 is a lot. You can say that's a bad thing, but tell us how and why. Unless they're subverting our values to make them more Qatari or whatever. Unless ARCUK has been subverting our values. Probably not bad to have other people invest in your country, especially on the brink of a recession, maybe. How much does Israel invest in the country? Well, actually, Israel's on the other side of the ledger. Israel is a massive, massive net cost to the United States every year, not just the famous $3 billion.
It's interesting. Let's just pause. It's interesting that he uses the word invest. Yeah, when you invest, you get a chunk of the thing. That's what an investment is. So yeah, Qatar is buying America. That is what is going on, and they bought the administration. They bought people in this administration ahead of time. They've been buying these people for many, many years, and yeah, the money they spend in America is not free money.
Yeah, and even here, like the weird way, like we only consider the only relationship that's good is Qatar investing in America. Now, when it comes to even like considering if that's a good thing, would Russia investing in America be a good thing? I mean, I'm wondering how. I know this has been like a big thing a little bit ago. The fact that China has been buying out like homes in Canada and in America, like a big thing for conservatives. Did that like go away, or like I thought that is a problem. Like, isn't this
Are
the
we off
opposite?
the are we off of YouTube?
Are we? Oh, temporarily blocked. Damn, that's annoying.
All
We'll
right.
come back. This will be still on the thing. So, what do you want to talk, or do you want to wait until we come back? Because this will be in the recording itself when it.
Okay, what does it come back on its own?
Yeah, it
Why
will
is it
come.
unavailable? Policy item.
Temporarily blocked. Oh wait, let me tell it to people. Um, yeah, I think the way wait, okay, let me, because I changed something, so let me change it back. Maybe it will. But basically, it's like an automatic ID thing that like sees we're playing the car, and it like automatically blocks it for a second until we basically go back.
Does
Uh,
that mean that we can't play any more of it?
uh, we can try. So, that's about what I can say. Uh, Oh, yeah, we're back.
Oh,
Okay, we're back. Sorry for that. It's people who are watching. It's the automatic YouTube thing that sometimes happens, unfortunately. We'll see.
Chandler is right when he says Tucker is at his computer reporting us
Yeah.
all right now. That sounds more likely.
It's like, oh, these people are targeting me. Uh, what was I going into when I was talking?
I don't
Uh,
remember, but you can think about it while I read the super chat. Thank you, Daniel, for the super chat. Daniel says, I like the appropriation of Qatari society with spending uh, time with family. They also value warm baths on a cold day. Yeah, well, I don't know if they have cold days, but um, yeah, no, but they really do value some horrible stuff, and so does Tucker, and they are on the same side on that. So. Uh, yeah, Daniel, you say what you were saying, and then we'll figure out if we can play any of the Francesca stuff.
uh, yeah. So again, when it comes to even the way he considers, like the only kind of act of like nice is that like that country like invests in America. Again, such a like weird way. What about like the again the companies that are created in Israel and then sell to America? That isn't comparable to that. What about the fact that even the money he says is given to Israel? By the way, first of all, there is no money given. It's basically, I mean, Alex said it yesterday. It's coupons to go buy equipment from American companies, which again then Israel uses to actually improve that equipment, to actually tell America like how can you get this stuff better. That's why she said like many of these companies might even give it for free. When it comes to Ukraine, the information you can get out of the experience might even be worth it to like give stuff for free. And I think that's why America has been so, or specifically NATO, has been so big on both standardizing the equipment and basically, yeah, making sure everybody buys American stuff, because then America has the knowledge on how this works, how to improve it, and all of that. I mean, the biggest thing when it comes to Ukraine is, of course, drone warfare. Nobody is as good as drone warfare right now as Ukraine is. That's a valuable information. But even again, like I said, from the civilian stuff, like there is a company in Israel that then sells stuff, like makes some improvement, some new technology, and then sells it in America. That is somehow like not valuable. Anybody who ever like use Soda Stream, that's an Israeli company. You don't care about your flavored water, or is the only good thing that and again it's the state itself, right? It's not individuals. So when we say Qatar is doing something, it is the actual Qatar. It's like the state is investing. Is that the standard we use? Is that some dictators throw money? I mean, why not? If Saddam Hussein like sent 50 billion to America, would be okay. This is a good guy. If Osama bin Laden, like before destroying the Twin Towers, maybe built like a nice little thing next to it, or rebuilt it, would it somehow excuse what he did?
Um, Okay, Clementine says, I wish Qatar didn't have so much money. Okay, but have you flown the Q suite? I mean, it's the best business class in the world. You get unlimited caviar and shit, and their Allahu Akbar lounge in Doha Airport is amazing. Yeah, we in the West need to figure out like, is the short-term stuff we sometimes get, is it worth the long-term price we pay? Unfortunately, people don't think that way. I want to say, in case we are going to start the Francesca part, should we just skip ahead to that?
Yeah.
And we hopefully won't be taken down, and if we are, we will come back. But we will post this whole thing on X at Ayn Rand Center with the British spelling of center. So yeah, anything you miss, including that minute or so when we were off the air and still talking, all that will be on X. This is recorded, and we're gonna upload the whole thing. All right,
Yeah, and
yeah.
this also will be on the original recording, like the video that will be that the live stream that is posted as soon as, or is the same thing, will also have the sections that people couldn't see.
Yes, but with YouTube, we never know. It could be that we're gonna have to remove all the Tucker parts, and then you just hear us
Didn't
talking
happen
about
the
it.
other times when exactly this thing happened, so I assume it would be the same.
All right,
But yeah, if people say that we are again blocked, just wait a couple minutes and we'll be back with great comment.
all right. I haven't seen the Francesca part because sometimes I like it when, these people surprise me. So, yeah, my commentary will be off the cuff, but Daniel has done his research, unlike me, and he has seen the whole thing. So it could be that actually in the next 30 minutes, we're not going to watch the whole thing, but whatever we watch of it, maybe they'll change our mind. Let's see what they have to say.
Happened to her next? Well, that tells you everything about where we are in a relationship with our closest ally. Francesca Albanese, I hope, joins us now. Francesca, thank you so much for coming on. And I'm going to stand back and let you talk. If you would just describe what you said about what's happening in Gaza, and then tell us what happened to you in the United States after you said it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tucker, for having me. I've been a special rapporteur for the United Nations, not the US, since 2022. And in this role, I'm asked by the United Nations to document and report on the violations committed by Israel as the occupying power in the occupied Palestinian territory, of which Gaza is a part, but it is also the West Bank and it is Jerusalem. And after 1 year and a half, after October 7, Israel started a brutal attack, which was the fifth in 17 years against the Gaza Strip. And 5 months later, I suggested that what we are seeing could constitute genocide in a report that had the title Anatomy of a Genocide. After another 6 months, I said, I do confirm that this is genocide and it's part of a colonial erasure of the Palestinian people. Israel is committing genocide because it aims to erase Palestinian presence from the occupied Palestinian territory. And it's a long trajectory that has led us to here. Then I looked at in the other two reports, I looked at the complicity of the private sector, including many businesses. Many are in Europe, others are in the so-called global south, many are in the United States. And the complicity that has sustained the economy of the occupation for decades, and there are people who have profited from this and Israel's impunity, including as this economy turned genocidal. During the 2 years of genocide, while many Israelis were losing their income, their businesses, their livelihood, the Israeli stock exchange has kept rocketing, increasing its value of 213%. And after this, I get sanctioned by the United States.
Okay, should we pause here? I sometimes am not sure what she says, even though I know it's bad. I don't know. Let me leave that complaint about the stock market skyrocketing. By the way, Daniel, we can't see you. Is that a new policy or but anyway, I will continue my Rand here. Yeah, she said genocide days after October 7th. Not genocide as in the Palestinians attempted a genocide against the Jews, but genocide as in Israel is trying to get back the hostages, is trying to prevent Hamas from continuing. Remember, after October 7th, rockets were still raining on Israel for a while. It wasn't that they stopped on October 7th. They did what they could with the invasion, but the rockets kept coming. So this was an active war situation. Francesca Albanese is one of the people who pushes the line. This isn't a war; it's a genocide. By the way, a completely, everything about that is wrong. Genocide and war are not mutually exclusive. It absolutely is a war because it's a war, and it's a war started by the side that she claims is a victim of genocide and continued every single day by that side. To this day, there's a ceasefire, but only Israel has really seized its fire, not completely, but the Palestinians are continuing to fight daily. Um, yeah, also another thing Francesca likes to say is it didn't start on October 7th. It started with the Nakba in 1948. So for her, the issue is not, the so-called occupation. Officially, the UN says, it's what is it, the 1967 line, so Gaza, Judea and Samaria are the Palestinian state or the future Palestinian state, and the rest is Israel. No, she says it started in 1948. It started with the very fact that the Jews have a state. That is a problem, that the Jews have a state in a place where the Arabs can have their 23rd, 24th state. A dictatorship, by the way. All Arab countries are dictatorships. The Palestinian dictatorship would be an especially brutal one, no matter which faction is the one ruling it. So, yeah, that's a bit of uh, background and overview on who Francesca Albanese is when she's there complaining about her situation, not being not. So another thing, the UN people, and you will have seen this with the recent report of Israel taking over UNRWA's offices in Jerusalem because they don't pay their taxes. UNRWA, UN people think they're above the law because they are. Essentially, they are above the law in so many places, and in the United States. The United States, uh, you know, has to let these people in when they go to the UN. That's part of the deal. So for her, it's unbelievable that the US won't allow her to do certain things. For me, it's unbelievable that this woman is still free, is not locked up somewhere for her participation. There's, she's had trips funded by Hamas, but she's a Hamas propagandist. So yeah, this woman is definitely being let off the hook by just having sanctions against her.
So where can I be? Yeah, somebody earlier in the chat. Oh, now I'm. Da, 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 da. Somebody asked, "Wonder what she thinks about public executions by Hamas." No, 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 no. She's a special rapporteur on the situation of human rights in the Palestinian territories occupied since 1967. But what we mean by that is, and she said it at the start, she is only she is there to note the human rights violation by Israel. So don't talk to me about Hamas. That's not her job. Her job is to only criticize Israel. And if that doesn't tell you the bizarre situation, like this is in her job title. In her job title, she has to criticize Israel. Like that's what she's there for. If there was nothing to criticize Israel for, she wouldn't be there for. So like that's her own goal. Like she has to, no matter what Israel does, she has to criticize it or the supposed human rights violation. So even in her job, it's not in the preview to talk about what Hamas is doing, which shows the unobjectivity of the whole situation. And then what else did she say? Yeah, the what was the attack, the slaughter, whatever attack on Gaza since October 7th? Hey, I'm wondering what happened on October 7th that Israel suddenly decided to go into Gaza. But that's again, that's not something she should talk about, right? She shouldn't talk about the slaughtering of Israeli people on October 7th. She only should talk about the slaughter of Palestinians after October 7. So that's like another inside thing. And again, she talks about like long-term genocide, right? So it's not like she tried to say like 6 months into war, I said, what is happening might constitute genocide. I put out the report. I mean, you believe this was wrong from the start. It's not like you were really thinking about it. Oh, maybe this something is happening. No, you knew from the start what you want to say. And yeah, stock market is rising. Based. Israel is doing great.
Yep. Yeah, and Gaza is flooded. The tents are uncomfortable. All right, more of the clip.
For my work, for my denouncing what the fact as I'm doing for the United Nations for free, because I'm a US, I am a UN expert, but I do that pro bono. And yes, instead of focusing on the crimes that I denounce, the United States treat me as a criminal.
I mean, I'm a little confused. I mean, I believe you, and I've read this, but I'm just confused by it. So, did you take up arms against anyone? Did you help any armed terror group? Like, what exactly was your crime? It sounds like you were describing crimes.
Tucker, this is my only weapon. It's a pen. It's a pen. This is what I do. And yeah, apparently it's very dangerous. But this is what I've done. I mean, again, I look. I've had very interesting discussions with U.S. officials and Congress people until this year. But then what the United States couldn't process was me pointing the finger to the prophets. So it's okay to accuse Israel of committing crimes. No one cares, apparently, because this is what Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, Palestinian human rights organizations, and Israeli human rights organizations have accused Israel of. But the moment I pointed to the fact that there are businesses who are profiting from it, yes.
All right. Should we pause here in part because we are offline on YouTube? So if you're watching this not live or on X, but we will be back in a second on YouTube as well. Yeah, this is my only weapon. Yeah, this was Goebbels' only weapon. Well, not this. This is a Silver Rose Bakery pen. Can you see the? But yeah, thank you, Silver Rose Bakery, for all your support. But yeah, her pen writes lies, and it doesn't do it on its own. It's not an auto pen, even if Trump accuses it of being that. It is her mind being used to explain to you why, when Jews are slaughtered, the only problem is that not more Jews are slaughtered and that some of the slaughterers end up dead as well. That is what she does with her pen. She is a anti-Semitic propagandist through and through. That's what she has dedicated her life to, of her own volition, and she can play it down, and she has to play it down. But remember, she talks about Amnesty International. Amnesty International is by the way, the organization that said that we need to expand the definition of genocide to make sure that Israel is convicted in the International Court of Justice. And when they talk, and the Irish government did the same, when they talk about in that court about what it is that constitutes genocide, so much of what they do is quote statements, and statements from politicians, statements from journalists and random people, statements that I question strongly whether they're genocidal, but that were not acted upon. So it's not actions that well, it's also actions from time to time. But if the statements of a Ben Gvir are part of a genocide, then you using a pen does not let you off the hook. You can't have it both ways. Francesca Tucker, has issue with people who like it both ways. Daniel.
Yeah, and so we are back live. So going into what Francesca said, I mean, the way she talked, they come after me because what I'm talking about, And it's like, yeah, if you're like talking shit, it's like, yeah, people will criticize you, or people will even come after you when it comes to, like sanctioning, like America did, which again is proper. States shouldn't sanction like people who are actively, especially if they are foreign nationals, people who are actively like supporting terrorist organization. And look at the dishonesty of it. She shows the pen. This is the only weapon I have. She's trying to say that she's only writing. She uses that pen to stab Jews. No, I'm kidding with that. But it's a funny thing. Like this is. And I want to return to one thing earlier. Like she talks about like a long-term genocide. Like really, this is 80 years, and Israel is still trying to figure out how to like get rid of Palestinians. Hitler after like 10 years, he was like, okay, I don't want to deal with this. Let's just kill them all. He went in like 2 election terms from let's just get them out of here to let's the final solution, let's kill them all. And Israel is still like struggling to figure out like what to really do about the Palestinians.
Well, yeah, let's also remember, if Israel actually wiped Gaza off the map and killed everybody there, bombed it to oblivion, that is not genocide. That is self-defense. The population in Gaza did October 7th, are completely united again, as part of this war. This is not like, we don't like these people who are just, minding their own business. Let's gather them and throw them into gas chambers. It's, we don't like getting murdered, and all they do is murder. And we can't talk them out of it, and we can't give them anything to make it stop. We've been trying for decades. That's all we've done since 1993 and until 2003, 2023, 30 years of, the reason there's terrorism is because Israel isn't giving into enough Palestinian demands. And there has to come a point where you understand what the actual Palestinian demand is. All Jews must die. That is Palestinianism. If Israel realizes that and fights back in a way that minimizes casualties on its own side, many, 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 many more Palestinians will die. And that is the choice of the Palestinians. So,
and again, also this kind of rhetoric actually encourages genocide, because what is every country being told? Israel, when it was founded, the people that tried to attack Israel, tried to destroy Israel, it expelled some of them. It didn't allow some of them to come back, and imposed occupation on some of them for some years, and then gave them a citizenship. What is every country, and now has to deal with the consequences of it, that every time that group tries to attack Israel, it's Israel that's in the bad. What is every country being told? Every country is being told, if you become a nation or if you become independent, make sure to murder all your ethnicities so they won't come bite you back in the ass when they try to attack you, when you give them autonomy, when you give them some kind of independence. The Russians in Ukraine, if you do not completely get rid of them, yeah, Russia will use that as an excuse to attack you. Czechoslovakia didn't do something with the Germans that were there. Well, Nazi Germany will use that as an excuse to attack you. Like, this is what is being encouraged. Like, whenever a nation is trying to be decent, meaning not slaughter all the people. Like, who is coming after the Turkey right now for the Armenian genocide? Nobody, because they genocided them. They are not there anymore, those specific people, to actually do something with the regime itself. So this kind of rhetoric absolutely encourages genocide, because Israel is now said you cannot defend yourself because you didn't genocide all of them previously.
Somebody in the chat asks, what's Daniel Krause's background? He has a PhD in international law and is an official genocide scholar. All right, let's hear some more of Francesca. I think this is going to be the last of it.
Do you want to listen more? Because it might just get tagged again, so we might just try.
If it gets tagged, it gets tagged. We'll live with it.
So let's try to keep it to maybe like half a minute. Maybe we'll debate it.
Interesting. Okay, well, that makes more sense. So it wasn't like you were shut down or sanctioned because you criticized the state of Israel. You were shut down because you criticized all the people profiting from mass murder.
Well, 2 months before sanctioning, I mean, I got a sign of frustration in the U.S. administration for my work, which was apparently harassing U.S. companies, which is not the case because, in fact, I mean, I've gone after Brazilian companies, South African companies, Colombian companies. I mean, it's the entire world. I keep on saying there are 62 states who are complicit, providing political, military, diplomatic support, economic and financial support to the state of
Okay,
Israel.
so much of this stuff, and we're gonna talk about it a lot more in the coming weeks and months. So much of these people's playbook is taken out of Nazi Germany stuff. She goes after companies anywhere who have any dealings with the Jews. I mean, this is Daniel and I talked about this before the show. The Nazis, in their first few years in power, encouraged the public to do stuff against the Jews rather than have it as official policy. That came not in the first few years. They had the boycott Jewish businesses was not an official thing. They didn't shut them down. They just encouraged people not to buy from the Jews. Kristallnacht was not officially a government thing. It was, and of course, the government making the Jews pay for the damage was a government thing. But yeah, and so that's Francesca is not an innovator in this. She's following up on the work of her predecessors, and yeah, she's just so evil. I remember seeing some Twitter conversation months ago, a year ago, where people were talking about Jews who are calling what Israel fighting back in Gaza a genocide, and she wrote something like, "Well, the time to deal with them is not now. Deal with them as in, why did it take you so long?" But she is not she is not even she's pretending a little bit, but she's not hiding it that well. She's not really fully trying to hide the fact that for her it is about the Jews. Of course, it is primarily about the Jews in the Jewish state. That is the thing that she wants to see removed. But I guarantee you, Francesca Albanese, if Israel is wiped off the map within her lifetime and her before she retires, uh, she will not be done at that point.
Yeah, and again, this is somebody Takar is like, okay, well, Takar is not capitalist really and hasn't been for a long time. But again, I'm just attacking the profit-seeking companies. I'm just going after the companies who's and I'm on what companies are like the company that like what deals with Jews or that employs Jews? Like what specific like companies is she even talking about? Or companies that even companies that what provide weapons to the IDF or provide ammunition to the IDF. Yeah, that's good thing. That's actually defending lives. That's actually defending free lives. It's defending Western civilization, fighting against terrorism. Thus, so again, like what? And again, this idea of like profit, right? So if it's like a non-profit ammunition plant, it's like okay. Like what kind of like even argument is this? Like the whole the argument of this relies of you thinking of profit as evil. Like that's the standard she uses. Because if you do not consider profit as like a bad thing, then it's like okay, what is she like? What is she arguing here against?
I'm probably going to get in trouble for what I'm about to say, but it's time, and we're going to do this sometime soon, so I will say it. Yeah, somebody in the chat says Razi very ugly, and I know what this is. I know you're into me, dude. Unfortunately for you, I'm taken, and also don't swing that way. But yeah, I know all about
Not like
negging.
it's a bad thing.
What?
Not like it's a bad thing to swing that
Well,
way.
this is what's called negging. Negging is the topic of the first episode of our attempted revival of the show Flirting with Reason, which was on this channel a few years ago. It is coming back in some format on a different. Will have its own channel. We'll start it either by the end of this year or early next year. But that video has been recorded. It's about negging. It's a great episode. Yeah. And no, you calling me ugly is not gonna get me to put out, but nice try. Daniel, parting thoughts on today's topic.
Uh, Talking about ugly, these people really have an ugly soul. Uh, like viewing the world this way, this obsession with Jews, which again is obsession with people defending themselves. It's obsession. I mean, the whole thing, this is like a straight up the correlation between anti-Semitism and anti-capitalism, which I think even we have on our channel, the Yoram Brook
We
thing.
don't have it on our
Okay,
channel.
it's
We
not.
we had an event where Yaron gave
Yeah.
that talk, but that event was sponsored by the Ayn Rand Institute, and I believe it's on their channel and not on ours.
Okay.
Yeah.
But people, yeah, can still check it out because there is so much correlation there, and you can see it from the whole thing, right? The sort of the focus on like natural resources instead of technology of Israel, which again is a sign of modernity. It's a sign of capitalism. It's a sign of modern economy. This focus on, or this rather lack of focus on values and ideas that the nations hold, this anti-capitalist nature of like profit seeking, this anti-Western idea of just standing behind Palestinians, standing behind Hamas, that again have no values that are compatible with the West, which again, by that I mean individual rights, right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness and property. All of that is lacking in the Palestinian society. All of that is lacking with both of those people. And yeah, that's a sign of a very ugly soul.
Um, I don't want to break the fourth wall, do an impromptu production meeting, but I know Daniel and I were talking about before this came up. One of the things I thought we would do a show on sometime these days is the Russell Brand. Russell Brand interviewed Candace Owens. I don't think I can stomach doing that tomorrow. It's there's too much of this crap. So we might talk about it sometime soon, but we will have a show tomorrow. It's not going to be 90 minutes long. It is not going to be about Tucker Carlson unless, something insane happens between now and then, which is not that unlikely. But yeah, the Daily Objective returns tomorrow at 5:30 UK time, 12:30 Eastern. Thanks, Daniel. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.